Good evening, everybody. Tone here, and today, guys, we're gonna be talking about the positive impact that life insurance has on future generations. Sometimes when I talk to people and I sit down with a father, with a mother, they're only thinking about themselves, right? And the reason being is, I was talking about this the other day, is that sometimes we are a very materialistic society. So when we pay money for something, we want something tangible. We want to walk away, with something physical like a laptop or some Jordans. But when it comes to life insurance, we don't see those tangible things in our hands. Like, we don't feel them, but they're all around us. We don't realize it. And the second part of that is usually life insurance is for future generations. There was that quote that was going around Facebook a while ago that was like, most people can plan for the weekend ahead, but that's about it. And it's so true, because we don't think about the next generation, right? When you talk to wealthy people, sometimes they plan for their grandchildren, or they plan for their great-grandchildren. And it's a powerful concept, because you're thinking ahead. You're thinking, let me set them up for the future. We live in a society where rich and wealthy people a lot of times get demonized. Oh, well, they were handed this, or they were handed that. But we never go back in time and be like, man, what did their grandparents do, right? And when you look back in time, you find that there was a relative, an ancestor, a matriarch who said, okay, I'm poor, but I'm going to figure out how to plan for the next 3 generations. And we don't realize it, even though many of us, who grew up in middle-class communities, even though we're not the richest, a lot of our great-great-grandparents did that, and even some of our grandparents. And they may not have, gave us a nest egg, or gave us, some type of inheritance, but just from moving from where they moved, bringing us here to this country, or bringing us to a better city, or bringing us to a better environment, they did that already. And when it comes to doing that, one of the best ways is obviously life insurance, right? If you don't come from a rich family, make sure that a rich family comes from you. And one of the stories today, actually not today, but a few days ago, I was talking to a gentleman at work, and me and him were having a conversation, and he was mentioning how, when he was younger, that his dad passed away. And he's like, me and my mom were alone. Then we sold our house. He's like, I took my half, she took her half, and then I ended up doing X, Y, and Z. And he told me, so when his dad passed away, I asked him, did your dad have life insurance? He's like, yeah. He's like, that's how we were able to pay off the house. He's like, my dad left enough for me and my mom. She got her cut, I got my cut. He said, we both bought, the house was paid off. He's like, when me and my mom sold the house, we took our portions of the house. So he was in his maybe early 20s when they sold the house. And he said the next thing he did was he ended up taking a trip of a lifetime to Europe. He said it was a life-changing trip, went to Europe. He got educated. He's a historian, so he loves anything history. You sit down and talk to him about history, he has facts that will bore you to death, but he's really smart. So he took this trip to Europe with that money. And then he ended up buying a condo later on, went to college, and then ended up buying a condo. And I sat there and I said, wow, so your dad not only was thinking about himself, but he was thinking about how to set you up for your future. Because that death benefit that gentleman, that father had left for his wife and his son, not only did it pay off their house, but they ended up selling it. Obviously had money from that. That money ended up paying for a lifetime trip. It ended up paying for school, and then ended up paying for his condo now that he lives in. So we don't think about what life insurance can do down the road, because a lot of us are still stuck about me. And if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, you have to think about the next generation. I understand if you're single and you're young, because I was there, you're thinking about what's happening on Friday night, what's happening on Saturday night. I get it. There's still time for you to think about yourself. But those individuals is, how do you set up your future? Because the money, the death benefit that you leave behind, God forbid something happens to you early, it creates a ripple effect that we don't understand sometimes. And when I say a ripple effect, think about this, that one death benefit didn't just pay for something and then it was gone. That gentleman was able to invest, pay off his house, right? When he invested, he took the equity off that house when he sold it. That equity grew into probably more than what he had. Then that equity ended up paying for his college, ended up paying for more things. So when we look at the future, it's not just about paying for things that are around us. It's about how do the individuals plan for the future. And it's not even wealthy individuals. How do middle class individuals like us plan to help and give our future an easier way than we had it? And the best way to do that is life insurance, because think about it. You may think, oh, I'm just leaving, 200 grand behind for my kids and might be able to pay for college. But guess what? You giving that child the ability to not have to work through college may create a ripple effect to where they not only, have a great time at college and they proceed, but they graduate and they go beyond. And then from that point, it goes on and on and on. So the ripple effect, if we don't realize that life insurance can pass on for multiple generations. If you give the next generation an easier time than, to grow up, hey, don't worry about having a job when you're in high school right now. Yeah, I'm going to teach you work ethic and all that, but not to survive. I want you to have a job because you want to have a job, not because you need to have a job to pay for everything in your life. So that money that you leave behind can set the next generation up for success and so on and so forth. So if you're thinking about life insurance, or you're maybe skeptical about life insurance, don't think about it for yourself. What can I get today? What can I do for myself? Think about it as, how can I set up my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, the generations that are not even here yet for success? Because if you think about it just for you, what happens is that money you don't see physically in your hands because you're only thinking about passing away. So I wanted to share that story of that gentleman because I thought that if we change the way we think about life insurance and about, it's not just about, us, it's about the future generations. It's about leaving behind a legacy. It's about being able to pay your children's, schooling off. It's about giving them money so that they can have smart investments in the future, that they can buy a house or maybe pay off a house, right? That house from that equity can grow. Even putting it away in a financial vehicle that can grow over time. So by the time they're adults or by the time they have children, they have a nest egg that they can tap into. So when you're thinking about life insurance, understand that this is multi-generational. It's not just for one individual. It's how am I setting up my future? Because when you look at the history and you look at the past of previous generations, a lot of times death caused poverty. And the reason being is that people weren't educated, right? Back in the day, they weren't educated about life insurance. Now, if death causes poverty, the reason is not education, because you can open up your TikTok or your Facebook like you are now watching me, and everybody's talking about life insurance. It's ignorance. It's skepticism, right? So the next phase is, how do we get past that skepticism and say, okay, I know life insurance is real. I know it can work. And I know that there are people out there who have integrity, who sell it. So the next part for you guys is to understand, okay, how do I find the right insurance? So number one is find somebody that you trust, right? Don't just go for some Joe Schmo off the street who's slick talking you. Find somebody that you trust. Find somebody that's been doing it a while, because you know that person's going to stick with it. And then number two is make sure that that person that you're talking to has reputable companies that they're working with, right? So what are reputable companies? There's so many companies out there like Moody and Fitch and other companies that rate life insurance, specifically rate life insurance and financial services companies, that you can find one that has a high rating. So the second thing is just make sure that the person that you entrusted to be your life insurance agent has multiple companies that they're working with, that they're not just working with one company and they're trying to force that company on you, that they have multiple, and they can show you how well rated that these companies are. So I said, bring them on camera. Oh, sorry. I haven't been on Facebook in a while. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was a powerful story that kind of randomly came across, because the guy that I was talking to didn't know that I was a life insurance agent. So he ended up telling me this story, and then I asked his permission. I was like, can I share this story? He's like, absolutely. So understand that life insurance is not about you. It's about the future, right? It's about creating a foundation that future generations can build wealth off of. So if you're not wealthy right now, understand that your future generations can be wealthy if you set them up properly. So I appreciate you guys. If you do have questions in regards to life insurance, in my bio here, you can click the link, which is legacycrusade.com/survey. Fill out that survey. and either myself or Veronica or one of our trusted agents will get back to you where we can do a full analysis and a review. The goal, by the way, when we sit with you is how can we give you the most amount of life insurance and stay well within your budget, right? So if you have a $20 budget, $50 budget, whatever it is, it doesn't matter to us. We're not here to discriminate your budget, but our goal is to find the most amount of life insurance. And I'll leave you with this. There's some people who think, well, I'll wait till my health is better. Don't do that, guys. Get your foot in the door now, because waiting for your health to get better to get life insurance, we've seen a lot of catastrophes happen like that, where you're waiting, and unfortunately something happens. You either get sick, God forbid you pass away, and all of a sudden you can't get it. The second thing is, don't think that because you have a small budget that you can't get it. I always tell people this: get your foot in the door with the budget that you have. Later on, when your budget increases, then we can change the plan. But I'd rather you have it and change it later than you not have it, and then something happens and then you can't change it, you can't get it at all. So think about that, because there's so many people waiting for this miracle to happen or this huge budget to open up, and it rarely ever happens that fast. There's going to be this long gap in your life that you're not going to have life insurance. And, it's like playing musical chairs. You never know when that music's going to stop. So fill out go to my bio, fill out that survey so I can give you guys a quote. We'll be calling you guys if you do fill out that. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. I have a training to jump on in 6 minutes.